This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. It's time to do some winners and losers after Week 9's game versus the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm going to be honest with you, ain't no losers this week. You beat somebody 27-0. You hold an NFL football team to 58 yards and you put up 27 on the other side of the ball. Nobody lost. That is as close to perfect as you can get in an NFL game. Like, that is the pinnacle of excellence in the NFL game. It does not matter who you do that against. You beat a team and hold them to 0 the whole game, 4 quarters, hold them under 100 yards total offense. And then you put up almost 30, 27, damn near 30, 4 scores on them. Pinnacle of excellence in the NFL. Nobody's a loser in that situation. There is literally not much, if anything, to complain about. This is as good as a victory gets in the NFL. I know there's going to be people who find reasons to be mad about it or find something they didn't like in this. Look, they'll never be happy with any win ever. Because if you cannot accept this win without having to break it down and be overly critical of it, you will never accept any win. Because again, this is the pinnacle of excellence in the NFL. Win by 4 scores on offense. Hold a team to 0. That's it. That's it. That's what you want in an NFL game. If you're talking about team offense, the Browns had over 300 yards of total offense. There is nothing to complain about with this game. So forgive me if I sound like a homer. But in a game where you put up 27 points and you shut down the team to 0 in like historic numbers, there's no losers. Nobody played bad enough to be a loser today. There are only winners in this one. So James Prochet. I'm going to start with the small guys first. Well, I'm going to start with the guys popping in my head first. James Prochet. I want to put him on a winner category. Came in, not really known if he was going to be somebody who even plays for the Browns. Got picked up on the Browns practice squad before they traded Donovan Peoples-Jones. Ends up becoming active and returning punts. I mean, like, imagine that. You were on a completely different team last week. You get cut, end up on this team, and now you're returning punts. And you know what? My man stepped in, did a good job. Now, I don't know how much of this has to do with Arizona not being a great punt coverage team, but hey, did a good job. Caught the punts that needed to get caught, didn't catch the punts that didn't need to be caught, got good returns on all of those punts. Literally nothing to complain about. And look, that's been rare at the punter game. So, yes, shout out to you, James Prochet. And special teams in general. Look, I know that Dustin Hopkins missed the field goal today, but like, no, I'm not about to complain about that. I refuse. He's been so excellent. He can miss like 2 more field goals. Like, I hope he doesn't now, but he can miss 2 more field goals, and I can't say shit because he's been that good for the Browns this year. But special teams in general, really good. Dustin Hopkins, outside the 1 field goal he missed, was really good. And if you think about that, then the Browns would put up 30. I mean, the pinnacle of excellence today. Like, this was just an excellent victory, as good as it gets in the NFL. And special teams showed up. I thought Corey Bojorquez has been adding to what is starting to feel like a Pro Bowl caliber punter season So good on him. Again, I mentioned James Prochet stepping up in special teams. And I want to give a shout out to Pierre Strong, who is an excellent defensive special teamer. He downed that ball, did a really smart play by making sure he ran down there and didn't touch that ball until it ran out of momentum right there at the 1 yard line to pin him back. He's been excellent as a tackler as well on special teams. So give another shout out to Pierre Strong because I feel like he's been giving a great effort on special teams as well. And I thought special teams as a unit showed up pretty big this week. Offensively, let's talk about offensive winners. DeJuan Jones played through injury, was excellent in this game. And shout out to James Hudson. James Hudson, who stepped in for Jed Wills and maintained the dominant play that Jed Wills was doing on that side. Joe Bitonio had a really good game. It's been a little while since we've seen him have a vintage Joel game. He had one. Ethan Posick as well. And then I thought that Wyatt Teller even played very well too, somebody who's been up and down the last few weeks. So I thought it was a game where the offensive line are winners. The running back room, I'll give Kareem Hunt, somebody who was a winner, just continues to just be great in short yardage situations. And whenever you just need 3 or 4 yards, like he just comes through with it. He's not going to be big chunk play guy, right? Where Nick Chubb would get like 20-yard chunks off like that. You know, that's what makes Nick Chubb one of the best in the NFL. But he will get those 4 or 5 yard runs, which is so crucial, that allows you to keep trying to hit these home runs with Pierre Strong and Jerome Ford, and eventually going to hit. And you can recreate some of what you had with Nick Chubb with that. It takes 3 people to do the one Nick Chubb job, but damn, man, they finding a way to do it. And I thought that Kareem Hunt, I think he's one of the more important pieces to that puzzle. So shout out to Kareem. I think Kareem's been excellent in goal line, short yardage. Remember, even with Nick Chubb, goal line and short yardage situations used to be a pain in the ass for this Cleveland Browns team, and like countless times where we've had possessions where we had like to get 8 plays off on the goal line and didn't score. How many 4th and 2s on the goal line have we had that we didn't score? Like we've had this issue for a while now, and something about Kevin bringing in Nick Harris to be a fullback really, really works. Like that's a very dangerous tool that they have in their arsenal. And, Nick Harris deserves some shout out for that too, as well. So throw him in the winner category as well. Deshaun Watson and Kevin Stefanski, I would throw in the winner category because they got exactly what they needed out of today's game. I felt like Deshaun Watson played very well, considering the circumstance, and I think he had an objectively good game. I don't know how anybody looks at this game and says, oh, it wasn't that good. I mean, I know how somebody will lie to themselves like that, but it's a good game. He had a couple chunk throws down the line, average 7.3 yards attempt, which isn't a great number, but it's a fine enough number. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no fumbles, only took a sack. I thought it was an objectively good game from Deshaun Watson. I thought he played well, made some big time throws. And I think you would be thrilled from that game if it came from a Brock Purdy or, any other quarterback that doesn't have the same stigma over him that Deshaun Watson has, right? If nobody would complain about this game. And that's exactly what you hope for. Best case scenario that you would get in his return. That's the reason why you wanted him to play this week, so he can get used to this before he has to play Baltimore. So good job by Kevin Stefanski going with the plan. The plan worked out. Hopefully it continues to work out and you get a good performance versus the Baltimore Ravens. But as of right now, I would have to say that they're both winners on this side of the ball. And Amari Cooper, I mean, what more can be said about Amari Cooper? He just goes in here and produces 5 targets, 139 yards, and a touchdown, a long of 59. Playing through injuries. He's always playing through injuries, but he's always being productive. Amari Cooper, call him the mailman. He's always there, even on Sundays. That man, well, he the Amazon man. Let's update it. He the Amazon man. That man deliver on Sundays. Nobody else delivers on Sundays like Amari Cooper. He the Amazon man. He prime shipping. He 2 days, he there. So that's what Amari Cooper's been. He has been reliable, on time, and always there. Always there. Just when you lose a guy like Nick Chubb, you need somebody to be that old reliable. That's what Amari Cooper's really done. And if him and Deshaun Watson can get chemistry going like they showed in that fourth quarter, man, it might get crazy with those two. But right now, Amari Cooper, he's been reliable no matter who's at quarterback. He's really been the MVP of this whole run, right? When we're talking about getting through this stretch with PJ Walker, he's been the MVP of it. Like, you don't get through this without Amari Cooper. He's been that important. And I want people to show that respect and love to him. So is that everybody on the offense? I thought David was all right in this game. I don't think he got that many opportunities. I think he got tackled a little bit easier than he wanted to in this game, to be honest with you. But he did get that touchdown where they just kind of left him open. So shout out to David on that. He gets an honorable mention here. All right, let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. And let's talk about Dalvin Tomlinson, who did not. I think Dalvin Tomlinson and Zadarius Smith, two guys who did not have great games the week before, right? Dalvin really struggled against Seattle. Same thing with Zadarius. I pointed this out in my film breakdown that the issue in Seattle was that our corners were left on islands far too long because nobody was getting pressure on one-on-ones the whole game. Like, Miles will get double, triple teamed most of the game. We know how it is. They're giving him the Darrelle Revis defensive line treatment, where they're just going to say, you know what, wall. We're just going to wall that off and live with what we get out there. And unfortunately, last week, the defensive line played at a level to where that was an acceptable strategy. Okay, you're going to wall off Miles. We're going to give you these two-way goals on the defensive line, and it just let you live with it. Dalvin Tomlinson, he didn't show up, unfortunately, in that Seattle game. But you know what? Just like he did against San Francisco, this week he showed up big time. And if we can get the San Francisco and Arizona Cardinals version of Dalvin Tomlinson to show up more weeks than not, that's going to be somebody who's going to be impossible to leave on an island, especially in a situation where you're going to give him a two-way go. And he was unstoppable today. He ran the arc on a guard. Like, he was just eating, dog. Like, just on some next level stuff there. So Dalvin really had an excellent game. And let me tell you something. Zadarius is already going to get his respect on the other side. And, Zadarius, I want him to become a more consistent presence in the games. I know he's been getting some pressure, but I think he needs to, find a way to finish some of these plays that he gets close to. There's a little bit of Jadeveon Clowney syndrome going on with him, where he's not finishing some of these plays, and it's kind of getting frustrating at this point. But Dalvin, if he gets to the point to where he's playing at a high level, a Pro Bowl, almost, fringe all-pro level, and he's next to Miles, that is so huge, because then it becomes impossible to just wall off Miles, right? If the solution can't be, I'm going to turn a guard to Myles Garrett and leave my center on an island versus Dalvin Tomlinson, if that's not an acceptable solution, then you just got to let the guard help on Dalvin sometimes. And that means Myles going to get a one-on-one and maybe a chip, and that helps Myles get free, right? So that defensive tackle play is very important to an edge rusher's success. Look no further than the success statistically that TJ Watt has had in Pittsburgh. It's no mistake that he's had one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL next to him during that period, in Cam Hayward. Like, there's no mistake there, right? If he has good defensive tackle play, it all of a sudden makes the coverage plan for you, or the protection plan for that edge, a little different. You're going to get more one-on-ones. Right now, teams are just walling off Miles, and we need to show them that's not an acceptable solution. Last week versus Seattle, we didn't do a good job, but hey, San Francisco, this week, you did a good job of showing that. And Dalvin Tomlinson was at the heart of it. Another defensive tackle that deserves some love, and there's a couple of him there. I thought Shelby Harris had an excellent day. Like the day we've been waiting for him to have. TFL back in the backfield. He really should have had 2 TFLs, but they called a face mask on him. Or maybe that was Jordan Elliott. But either way, Shelby Harris, Jordan Elliott. Hey, man, I didn't think I would be at this place last year, right? Like last year when we were talking about this defensive tackle room, could you imagine me sitting here a year later gushing about literally every freaking defensive tackle on the roster. Like, I am literally gushing about Dalvin Tomlinson. I am literally just praising Maurice Hurst every week. Jordan Elliott, I'm calling him a playmaker right now. And Shelby Harris, been really good, especially this week. All four of these defensive tackles stepped up, and that's just a world of difference. Like, it's a world of difference from what this room was last year, and you're seeing the difference being made there. Myles Garrett got his sack, got a pass deflection. You know, Myles Garrett's a menace. He did his thing here, and you got another sack from Zadarius Smith. What does that bring Myles to total? Because I believe him and TJ are now tied at, what, 8.5 or 9.5? Sacks so far. Yeah, they both got 8.5 sacks. So good on Myles. He's continuing to fight for that Defensive Player of the Year race. I thought Sione Takitaki had a nice bounce back game. JLK, really good. Grant Delpit, really good in this game. Honestly, look, you hold a team to 56 total yards. It's hard for me to not say everybody on the defense was a winner. 56 yards. Who played bad? Like, Cam Mitchell didn't play bad. Martin Everson didn't play bad. Denzel Ward didn't play bad. Like, 56 total yards in the NFL without a starter. Yeah. So literally everybody gets praise on the defensive side of the ball. And I want to give some praise to Jim Schwartz for bouncing back this week, right? I think that they felt what I felt. I was talking all last week about how embarrassing of a performance these last 2 weeks have been for the Cleveland Browns and how they really need to have a bounce back. How they really do need to have a bounce back. And Jim Schwartz, you know, he took the right path with it, right? Because there was a way you can go with, oh, people are overreacting. It's not that big of a deal. No. He let them know that this was an embarrassment and you better come out here and not let them get a yard, because if you do, you're frauds, right? Like, he basically like put it out there for them, and they showed up thinking, hey, we won't take it as an insult if you get past the 50-yard line. And damn, if you add up all their total offense, they would have barely got past the 50-yard line on one drive. Like, that's domination. That's coming back strong. That's a defense that understands that they didn't get disrespected. They disrespected themselves with how they played the last previous weeks. Now it's up to them to make sure that they don't get disrespected this week or disrespect themselves this week just because they on the road. Because you still ain't done that as a defense. You still ain't had that lockdown defensive game on the road that you won. So you got to go ahead and do that, and go ahead and do it in the division. It's going to be tough, but this was a defense that came out with something to prove. And they got something to prove next week as well. Whereas I felt like the last 2 weeks, this was a defense that got fat on their own reputation. So this week, they did a good job of focusing in. Would have been real easy to sleepwalk in this game, get a couple turnovers, let Arizona score like 10 points, and call it a day. Nah. They gave Arizona the full experience. Shout out to this unit, man. That's the way to step up. Look, I'm going to be hard on them when they don't live up to expectations, because I expect a lot out of them. But I'm going to also give them the praise when it's necessary. And this is a week where it's necessary. I don't care who you did it against in the NFL. Tell me the NFL team this year that's been held to 56 total yards. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me, because it ain't happened all year. Tell me the team that has shut down and shut out the Arizona Cardinals this year. Nobody. The Browns were the first ones to do it. So you could tell me, oh, it's the Cardinals. Oh, it's this, it's that. They're not Baltimore. Obviously, we know that they're a far cry from the Baltimore Ravens. But that's still something worth celebrating, is that dominating performance versus the Arizona Cardinals, because that don't happen every day. That doesn't happen every time the Arizona Cardinals play a good defense. That only happens every once in a while. And maybe it was a perfect storm lining up with Clayton Tune having to play this game, similar to how the Baltimore Ravens did us when DTR had to play. But it's still something to be proud of. Right. So that's my winners and losers for this week. No losers. You put up damn near 30 points on offense. You shut a team down like you did on defense. Ain't no losers in that scenario. It just sucks that Jed Wills got hurt. Hopefully his injury is not super severe. I'm sure that news is out by the time you listen to this video, but that's the winners and winners this week. Let's now move on to Baltimore week. It's going to be a fun week. It's going to be a fun week of content. Y'all know what it is. But thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have an even better night.